There is something deeply ironic in the fact that intelligent people, those who got excellent grades in school, who master complex concepts, and who can solve difficult problems with ease, frequently stumble when the subject is money. Charlie Munger, the billionaire partner of Warren Buffett and one of the sharpest minds in the investment world, spent decades observing this curious phenomenon. He realized that intelligence, by itself, does not guarantee financial success. In fact, in many cases it can even get in the way. The issue is not lack of capability. Brilliant young people can understand complex financial concepts if they want to. The problem lies in invisible habits, behavioral patterns so subtle that they go unnoticed even by those who practice them. They are psychological traps that work like transparent glass. You don't see the barrier, but it's there, preventing your progress. Munger was always fascinated by these mental traps, studying psychology with the same dedication that he studied investments. The first of these invisible habits is the overvaluation of complexity. Intelligent people spent their entire lives being rewarded for solving difficult problems. In school, the most complex questions were worth more points. At work, the most elaborate projects bring recognition. This creates a deep association. Value is linked to complexity. So when these people look at their finances, they instinctively seek sophisticated strategies. Day trading, obscure cryptocurrencies, market arbitrage, exotic derivatives. It seems that investing in a simple index fund is too easy for someone with their intellectual level. Munger always preached the opposite. He said that making money doesn't need to be complicated, and frequently shouldn't be. The best financial decisions of his life were surprisingly simple: buy good companies and hold them for decades. He and Buffett became billionaires, not for being geniuses of financial mathematics, but for having the discipline to do simple things consistently. Complexity, most of the time, is the enemy of returns. It brings transaction costs, taxes, stress, and worse still, infinite opportunities to make mistakes. An intelligent young person who thinks they're being smart by elaborating a complex trading strategy is in reality falling into the trap of confusing activity with progress. The second habit is the constant need for intellectual validation through money. When you spent your entire life being the best in the class, receiving praise for your intelligence, there is a silent pressure to prove this value in the real world. And in our society, money is frequently seen as the definitive metric of success. This creates a dangerous urgency. The intelligent young person doesn't just want to get rich, they want to get rich fast, to prove to themselves and others that their intelligence translates into tangible results. This urgency leads to impulsive decisions. Instead of building wealth gradually through consistent savings and sensible investments, the person seeks shortcuts. They invest all their savings in a startup that will revolutionize the market, and to get-rich-quick schemes that promise astronomical returns, or bet heavily on high-risk assets because they did their homework and are convinced it will work. Munger always warned about the dangers of excessive confidence. He saw many brilliant young people from Stanford and Harvard who believed that a few hours of research made them experts in areas that professionals have been studying for decades. The uncomfortable truth is that building wealth is, for the most part, a game of patience, not intelligence. It's about making regular contributions for 30 years. It's about not selling when the market drops. It's about living below your means, even when you could afford to spend more. These things don't require a high IQ, but they require something that many intelligent young people haven't developed: patience and humility. The third invisible habit is what we can call the lifestyle opportunity cost. Intelligent people frequently get well-paid jobs early on. A newly graduated software engineer can earn 100,000 Rs per month at some technology companies. A specialist doctor, a corporate lawyer, a consultant at a large firm. These salaries are impressive, especially in comparison with the national average. The problem arises when the lifestyle quickly adjusts to the income. This phenomenon has a name in behavioral economics: hedonic adaptation. You get the dream job, buy a better apartment, change cars, start frequenting more expensive restaurants, travel to more sophisticated destinations. None of this seems excessive. After all, you work hard and deserve it. But what happens is that your expenses grow at the same speed as your income, sometimes even faster. At the end of the month, even earning a lot, you're not saving as much as you should. Munger lived in a notoriously frugal way for decades, even after becoming a billionaire. He lived in the same modest house, drove simple cars, didn't show off. He understood something fundamental. Each real spent today is a real that cannot be invested and multiply over time. If you spend everything you earn, it doesn't matter if it's 5,000 or 50,000 per month, the final result is the same. You're trapped on the treadmill, depending on the next salary to maintain your lifestyle. The fourth habit is the illusion of control. Intelligent people are used to having control over results. If you study for an exam, you get a good grade. If you work on a project, you manage to complete it. There is a direct relationship between effort and result. This creates an unconscious expectation. If I apply my intelligence and effort to finances, I will be able to control the results. It's a seductive and completely mistaken belief. The financial market is, for the most part, unpredictable in the short term. You can do everything right and still lose money temporarily because factors you don't control, global politics, health crises, technological changes, central bank decisions, affect your investments. Intelligent young people often don't accept this lack of control well. When their investments fall, instead of recognizing the randomness inherent to markets, they assume they did something wrong and try to fix it through action. They sell low, buy back high, constantly adjust their strategies, always seeking to recover that feeling of control. Munger repeatedly emphasized the importance of inaction. One of his famous quotes is, "Much of long-term success in investments is about surviving, not about acting." He knew that most attempts to do something with your portfolio reduce returns instead of increasing them. But accepting this requires humility to admit that you don't have control over everything, something difficult for someone used to being in command. The fifth invisible habit is related to social circle and constant comparison. When you're intelligent and professionally successful, you're probably surrounded by similar people. Your friends are doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs, executives. Your social networks show incredible trips, new cars, country houses, starred restaurants. This creates a subtle but constant pressure to keep up. The problem is that you never know anyone's complete financial story. That friend who bought a beach house might be in debt up to their neck. The colleague who changes cars every year might not have a cent invested. The appearances of financial success frequently mask a very different reality. But when you're constantly exposed to these images, you start to feel like you're falling behind if you're not doing the same. Munger had an interesting approach. He simply didn't care about what others thought or did. He and Buffett built a fortune buying boring companies that nobody thought were glamorous. While other investors chased the next big technological novelty, they bought shares of insurance companies and candy manufacturers. They seemed uninteresting, even outdated, but they were profitable and solid. Munger understood that comparison is the killer of joy and wealth. If you're always looking sideways, trying to keep up with others, you'll never be satisfied and you'll never make financial decisions based on your own goals and values. The sixth habit is what we can call extreme temporal discounting. This means overvaluing the present and undervaluing the future too much. Intelligent people are not immune to this. In fact, they can be particularly susceptible. They reason like this: I'm young now, I want to enjoy life, I have decades ahead to worry about retirement. Or, I'll earn much more in the future, so I can afford to spend everything now and make up for it later. The problem with this logic is that it ignores the power of compound interest, which Munger called the eighth wonder of the world. The earlier you start investing, the greater the impact of time on your returns. 1,000 reais invested at 20 years old, growing at an average rate of 10% per year, transforms into almost 50,000 reais at 65 years old. But if you wait until 30 to start investing, you'll need to put in almost 3 times more money to obtain the same final result. Intelligent young people frequently know this intellectually. They can even calculate the numbers. But there is a difference between intellectual knowledge and actual behavior. The immediate pleasure of a purchase, of a trip, of a new experience is tangible and present. The benefit of having more money 40 years from now seems abstract and distant. So despite knowing they should save more, they don't do it. It's a cognitive bias that Munger studied extensively. The present always seems more important than it really is. The seventh and perhaps most insidious invisible habit is the lack of practical education about money, combined with the assumption that intelligence substitutes knowledge. The traditional educational system teaches calculus, literature, chemistry, history, but rarely teaches the practical fundamentals of personal finance. How taxes work, what an investment fund is, how to calculate the real cost of a loan, why credit card debt is devastating, how retirement works. Intelligent young people leave university with impressive diplomas, but without the slightest idea of how to manage money in practice. And here's the problem. Instead of recognizing this gap in knowledge and seeking to learn humbly, many assume that because they're intelligent, they can figure it out on their own, or that they'll simply understand when they need to. This leads to expensive mistakes. They sign contracts without understanding the terms, make investments without comprehending the fees and risks, make suboptimal fiscal decisions, all because they confuse general intellectual capacity with specific knowledge. Munger was a fervent advocate of constant and multidisciplinary learning. He read voraciously in areas completely different from investments: psychology, biology, physics, history. He understood that real knowledge in a specific field, including finance, requires dedicated study, not just raw intelligence. He also wasn't ashamed to admit when he didn't know something. "I don't know" was a phrase he used frequently, something rare among extremely successful people. These 7 invisible habits intertwine and mutually reinforce each other. The overvaluation of complexity combined with illusion of control leads to excessively complicated and frequently adjusted investment strategies. The need for intellectual validation together with social comparison creates pressure for expenses and risky decisions. Extreme temporal discounting, fueled by lack of practical education, results in saving little and spending a lot. Each isolated habit would already be harmful. Together, they create a behavioral system that practically guarantees financial confusion and frustration, no matter how intelligent the person is. The good news is that habits can be changed. The first step is to recognize them, bring them from invisibility to consciousness. If you identified with any of these patterns, you're not alone. Even Charlie Munger admitted he made financial mistakes when young. The difference is that he learned from them and, more importantly, developed systems and mentalities that protected him from repeating the same mistakes. Munger's wisdom about money can be distilled into some fundamental principles that serve as antidotes to these invisible habits. First, simplicity is underestimated. Financial strategies that you can explain to a 10-year-old child are probably better than those that require 3 spreadsheets and a master's course to understand. Second, patience is a competitive virtue. In a world that values speed and constant action, the ability to do nothing, to let your investments grow quietly over decades, is an enormous advantage. Third, live below your means, no matter how much you earn. The difference between income and expenses is where wealth is built. Fourth, accept uncertainty and lack of control. You can control how much you save, where you invest, and for how long you maintain your investments. But you cannot control what the market does tomorrow, next month, or next year, and that's okay. Fifth, ignore what others are doing. Your financial journey is yours, with your unique goals, values, and circumstances. Comparison only brings unhappiness and bad decisions. Sixth, invest in your future today. Your 65-year-old self will immensely thank your 25-year-old self for each real saved and invested. Seventh, never stop learning about money. Read books, listen to podcasts, talk with people who manage their finances well. Specific knowledge matters. Charlie Munger passed away recently at 99 years old, leaving a legacy not just of billions of dollars, but of wisdom about how to think, how to live, and how to deal with money. One of his most important lessons is that financial success is not about being the smartest in the room. It's about recognizing your limitations, avoiding behavioral traps, being consistent over time, and having the humility to always learn. For intelligent young people who find themselves confused with money, Munger's message is at the same time challenging and liberating. Your intelligence is a valuable asset, but only if you don't let it transform into arrogance, impatience, or unnecessary complexity. The path to wealth is paved not with brilliant ideas, but with sensible habits practiced daily for decades. It's less glamorous than it seems, much simpler than you imagine, and infinitely more effective than any shortcut your intelligence might try to create.